on the back of the trends that emerged after the first phase, have put together a set of X factors that will determine what happens on the ground in Bihar tomorrow. The biggest question, I've just come back after spending a week in Bihar, the third trip during this election season, and the biggest topic of conversation at this moment is who benefits from the bumper turnout. This is the highest voter turnout that Bihar has seen. 8% surge from the last elections. If turnout is up so significantly, who benefits the most from the enhancement in voter turnout? That's the first X factor which we'll be looking at very closely during this broadcast. The second factor, the 10,000 rupee Mahila Rozgar scheme by the Chief Minister. Has this proven to be a game changer? During the first phase, we saw massive queues, lots of women lining up to vote. Were these, like has been the case in the past elections, votes which were heading towards the JDU and the NDA? That's the one question that's being looked at, whether this 10,000 rupee Jivika scheme has proven to be a game changer. Let's come to the third X factor. People would anticipate, or at least I did before I went, that Nitish Kumar's age, his mental acuity would be an issue of concern for voters. Far from. On the ground, it seems that there is an underlying sympathy for Nitish Kumar, that he's the man who steered our state for the last 2 decades. People seem to think of him reasonably well. Even if it's not glowing, they're definitely not thinking of him very negatively. There is in fact an underlying element of sympathy towards Nitish Kumar. That's X factor number 3. To what extent will this play out during polling tomorrow? Now, one of the things that I picked up on the ground is that you've got women who are enthused by Nitish Kumar at the state and the welfare agenda of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. They seem to be supporting the NDA. On the other hand, you've got youth, a lot of migrants, even locals, worried about issues like unemployment, underemployment, joblessness. They're yearning for change, whether they see Tejaswi Yadav as being the change agent or they see Prashant Kishor as the change agent. But this youth vote is likely to get fractured between the MGB, the NDA and Prashant Kishor. So you've got those two dynamics playing out. One, women yearning for Nitish Kumar and Modi. The other, the youth yearning for change, because for the past 2 decades, they've only seen Nitish Kumar in one form or shape or the other. They're now wanting to look beyond. Let's come now to the fourth X factor that I picked up during my travels through the state of Bihar. Now, Lalu Yadav's magic was that his alliance had the Yadavs, had the Muslims, but also had a lot of Ati Pichdi Jatis, the backward caste. Over the last few elections, the RJD has largely been consigned to the Muslims and the Yadavs. Tejaswi Yadav is trying through the IIP, through the Vikashsheel Insan Party of Mukesh Sawhney, and they come into play during phase 2 in a very big way. He's been trying to expand the Muslim Yadav vote bank. To what extent is Tejaswi, on the back of smaller parties like Gupta, like the Vikashsheel Insan Party of Mukesh Sawhney, able to expand on the core MY vote bank of the Gathbandhan? That's the next X factor that will determine what happens on the field in Bihar. Now, Prashant Kishor, so much noise, surround sound around the Jan Swaraj party. On the ground, not quite as much right before polling. Did the campaign peak too early? Did PK make a tactical mistake by not contesting himself? The general, in some ways, moving out of the battlefield himself. Will this prove costly? This again is an X factor. We'll talk about guests joining me in the studio in just a short while to try and understand this. From here, let's move to the next X factor. Remember, it is in the Seemanchal region that the AIMIM of Asaduddin Owaisi damaged the prospects of the Gathbandhan in the 2020 assembly elections. This time though, and I was in Kishanganj and Purnia areas in that part, people felt that the level of charm that Owaisi had come down, because ultimately out of his MLAs, 4 of them switched over to the RJD. 3 of them didn't get tickets this time around, but they did switch. Therefore, are Muslims now feeling that a vote for AIM is as lucrative as it was in the last election? Or will they polarize around the Gathbandhan? That's the next X factor. Let's now come to the next X factor. This is about Rahul Gandhi from the Brazilian model in Haryana, who ultimately didn't turn out to be a model. But throughout, he's been leveling with full gusto the charge that votes are being stolen, that this democracy has been bought out and is being distorted, that this is about vote adhikar. That's his big idea. How does this play out? Does this actually rally Gathbandhan supporters, or do they think, hey, if my vote is not going to count for change, is it even worth my while going out and voting? Both those factors playing themselves out. Is this actually encouraging Congress and RJD voters to go out, or is it discouraging them? If early decide ho gaya election, to jaane ka kya fayda? That's the one X factor we'll be looking at. The last X factor we'll be tracking on this broadcast is, and this is what Prashant Kishor in particular and Tejaswi Yadav are hoping for, that you've got a lot of migrants. They've come back for the Chhath Puja. Many have stayed back to vote. Some went back after the first phase. The others waiting to vote in the second phase and then head back. Will the migrants act along traditional caste lines like they typically do? Or will they act as one youth bulge, one youth community? Now, this again is a factor that we'll be looking at very closely, because this is what the opposition is largely banking on.